too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's up, guys? I want to ask a basic question. I don't know if this question is going to piss people off or if it's going to enlighten some people, but either way, my goal is to have the conversation that needs to be had rather than the conversation that people want to hear. I think we live in a world where people spend too much time saying what people want to hear and saying what their friends believe, and they're not spending enough time talking about the things that need to be discussed and questions that really need to be asked. So anyway, what's up, everybody on Instagram? My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins. If you're not following me on Instagram, feel free to follow me at the real Boyce Watkins. In case you're wondering why I still talk a little bit funny, it is because I am taking care of my dental health, and I have made the decision to make sure that when I die, not if, when I die, that I don't die because I was being stupid. So yeah, I see, you know, he said Rick Floss in the building. That's real funny. I love it. But yeah, so anyway, so yeah, I'm going to be talking real funny for about another 6 or 8 weeks. That's just what it is. It comes with the game. So if anybody comes in and says, why is he talking funny? Well, it's because he's taking care of his shit, and you need to take care of your shit too. Anyway, what's going on, Dr. Irene? How are you? All right, so let me go ahead and just ask the question I've been wanting to ask. This is a really important question. I'd love to know what's really going on with this. You know, I've had this real, you know, I live with a scientist. You know, we're both professors. We're not sheep. We're leaders. We're thinkers. We analyze everything. We question everything. And one of the things that we've been questioning is just how severe is this COVID thing? How severe is it? And let me just tell you what I've been seeing, and I'm going to just lay it out for you. I know some people are going to hear it. Some people are not going to hear it. Unfortunately, media is filled with propaganda. Media loves to lie to you. Media loves to manipulate you and to scare the shit out of you so they can win an election. Studies show that the best way for media to get ratings is to scare people. Go look it up. There are studies out there that show that if you want people to watch your show and you want to make money, you need viewers, you need ratings. The number one way to get ratings is to scare people. Now, here's what I'm going to throw out here. First of all, let's make this clear. We know COVID is real. COVID's killed enough people that we know that it's real. We know that it exists. It exists just like all the other things that kill people. You know, tens of thousands of people die every year from gunshots, car accidents, heart disease, diabetes, strokes, all kinds of stuff, HIV, all kinds of things are killing people. But COVID is kind of the thing. It's like the disease of the year. Like it's the thing everybody's focused on because of the election. And I also, my goal is to not be stupid. So you know, we wear our mask, we wash our hands. I have a mask right here. So those of you who think I don't believe in COVID, I could even maybe do this podcast with a mask on, so y'all won't make fun of my funny talking because I got my teeth worked on. So maybe I could wear my mask while I'm talking, so you'll know that I am not an anti-masker, right? Do we agree? Give me a yes or no in the chat if we can agree that Boyce is not an anti-masker, because Boyce I got more masks than you. I got 300 masks in the house because I want my family to be safe, and I want to make that 100% abundantly clear. But there are questions that I think need to be asked, and let me tell you why. I did the math. I'm a mathematician. I know how to count. That's a requirement to teach math at the college level, is you have to know how to count. And what I did was I looked at it and I said, okay, we keep talking about this number, 200,000. Every time we hit a landmark, they celebrate it. They make it a big deal. Oh my God, dun, dun, dun. 50,000 people die from COVID. Dun, 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 dun. And then they do these long, you know, like long segments, like, oh, 50,000 people died. And it's so terrible because, you know, and it's usually the left-leaning stations that do this, right? And then it's 100,000. Dun, 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 100,000. And it's like, man, 100,000 people, how can you deny 100,000 people? That's a big number, right? And then you get to 200,000. Dun, 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 right? That's a bigger number, right? Now, those are all, you know, real, relevant, etc. Let's even assume that there's no miscounting, there's no mistakes being made, there's nobody being diagnosed, as dying from COVID who actually just died with COVID. Let's assume that every single person on that list died because of COVID, right? Which is a big questionable assumption, but let's assume that that's true. Okay, so you got 200,000 people. Now, what I did was I did this thing that a lot of people haven't heard of. You know, dumb motherfuckers don't know about this. It's called division. Division is a mathematical technique called division. And what division says is that 200,000 is if you ask someone, is 200,000 a big number or is it a small number? Is it a big number or is it a small number? Well, it's neither. It's neither and it's both, right? It's like asking if a person is 6'4", is that a tall person or a short person? Well, they're very tall if they're 8 years old, right? But they're very short if they're a center in the NBA, right? If you're a center in the NBA and you're 6'4", that's like being a midget. But if you're 6'4" and you're in the 4th grade, you're a giant, right? So 6'4" is not tall, nor is it short. The same way, 200,000 is neither big nor is it small, but it's both, right? In mathematics, the term we use, we call that vacuously true. It's vacuously true that 200,000 can be all things depending on how you look at the number. So how do you figure out if 200,000 is a big number or not? Well, that's where division comes in, right? Again, so for the dumb motherfuckers that never heard of division, let me just explain how this works. So if I want to know if 200,000 is a number that I need to worry about, like if I'm sitting here and I'm watching the news, I'm like, damn, they said 200,000 people died. Well, that's pretty bad. That's pretty terrible. What are my odds of dying, right? What are my odds of dying? Now, why is that important? Well, because remember I mentioned earlier, your media outlets are capitalist organizations. Now, I'm not anti-capitalism, but I'm not pro-capitalism all the time. I'm not, I know capitalism better than a man knows his ex-wife. I know capitalism extremely well. I taught it for 25 years on college campuses. And one thing about capitalism is that capitalism is all about the money. Capitalism is pretty much all about the dollar bill when you talk about pure hardcore capitalism. So a lot of your media outlets are capitalist entities. Why is that a danger? Well, that's a danger because they need viewers to make money. Well, why do they need viewers to make money? Well, because corporations pay their bills and they pay them based on the number of viewers they get. So why does that matter? Well, they need viewers to make money, so corporations will pay them because they've gotten viewers. So they're going to figure out the best way to get the most viewers they possibly can. So $1 billion cash cow that they can lean on in almost every situation is the cash cow of fear. Fear. Now, fear is where I can have a city with 10 million people in it, and I could tell every night on the news, I can find 5 people in that city who got murdered for doing nothing. 5 people in that city who died from a car crash, got shot in the head, got beaten and raped on the way home from the grocery store. And every night, because I need viewers to make money, and I know fear is the best way to get viewers, I'm gonna every night traumatize people by telling them every day, not about all the millions of people that survived, I'm gonna tell you about the 5 people who got killed today. Every day, I'm gonna pick out 5 people who went through the most horrible, most just shocking shit imaginable, and those are going to be the 5 that I feature, and I'm going to talk about those 5 so much that you're going to think that it can happen to you. You're going to think it's happening to everybody, right? Now, what is that called? What's another term? I'm gonna educate. This is an educational session. This is not Uncle Boyce. This is Dr. Boyce talking. And so my degree, another one of my degrees is in statistics. So here's the term I want you to remember is a term, a term called selection bias. Selection bias is when you don't give a representative sample of what's really going on. Selection bias is not when you're given sort of a wide view so you can find out what's really, what the truth is. Selection bias is when you cherry pick. It's when you cherry pick the cases that fit the story that you're trying to tell. Now, one of the things the media does is they tell stories. If you read any article, they always start off with a story. Pay attention. They'll give you the stats, but they always start off with a story. Maria Lopez was a single mom with 2 kids who was dreaming about one day buying her own home, right? They always start, give me a yes or no if you follow what I'm saying. Give me a yes or no. And hit the thumbs up button, by the way. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do that. But give me a yes or no if you know what I'm talking about. They always start with the story. And then they use selection bias to cherry pick cases that will fit the story, that will fit the narrative, right? So why am I talking about selection bias and fitting the narrative and fear being used to pull in viewers? Well, because that's what's really been going on through this whole crisis. If you go take that number, 200,000 people that died, that's 200,000 too many. Death is never a good thing, but y'all can't pretend like people ain't been dying since death was invented, right? People been dying since forever. I mean, Chicago, I can show you a couple weekends where dozens of people got shot up and what people weren't having vigils and mourning and all that. Y'all was going about your business, right? But because it wasn't in media, you know, you didn't know, you didn't care, it wasn't a big deal. But when it's in the media, it suddenly becomes the biggest thing in the world. You're crying over it, it's affecting you, it's scaring you, right? It's gotten your attention, right? Well, 200,000, here's why 200,000 is the number I'm focusing on right now. Let's remember one thing. We live in a nation that has 330 million people in it, 330 million people. So when you're watching the media and they're saying, oh my God, 200,000 people died, 200,000 people died, 200,000 people died, 200,000 people died. Most people, this is why this conversation isn't really going to work for a lot of people, because a lot of people unfortunately get stuck in their way of thinking. They can't go outside that box. But 200,000 people is a very small number in a nation of 330 million people. To give you some context, 1% of 330 million is 3.3 million. 3.3 million. 1/10 of 1% is 330,000. So when they're telling you that when they're making you feel that everybody and their mama is dying from COVID, understand that it has not even affected 1/10 of 1% of the population. That means that for every 1,000 people in America, one might die from COVID. That's usually the 85-year-old who could have probably died from a whole lot of other stuff, by the way. And the other 999 survived. The other 999 survived. Now, I want you to just kind of think about it like this. Imagine if you were in a lottery for food. Let's say you were starving and somebody said, we're going to get you some food. You're going to eat today. You really going to eat today. And you're like, oh man, I'm going to eat. I'm hungry. I've been starving. Okay. And you say, okay, so what we're going to do, to be fair, is we're going to have a lottery. So 1,000 of you are going to draw a lottery ticket and one of you will get to eat. Now, the other 999 of you won't get nothing. You're going to keep starving, but one of you will get to eat. So that means you're going to eat today. Give me a yes or no. Would you take those odds? Would you see that as odds that say that I'm definitely going to eat today? Would you say that? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no in the chat. Let me ask you again. Would you consider those odds to mean that you might eat, that you're probably going to eat today? Would you say, gosh, I'm probably going to eat. If I show up every day, I'm probably going to eat. Would you, yes or no? No. If you got any sense, you say, man, come on, that's 1 in 1,000 chance that I'm gonna get to eat. I'm never gonna eat, right? I can show up every day and get a ticket, and for the next 50 years, I'm never gonna eat. I'm not gonna win this, right? So in the COVID lottery, those are the odds that you're looking at. You're looking at something, in fact, 1 in 1,000 is actually better. Those are favorable odds relative to your odds of catching and dying from COVID. And what I don't like about the media's representation of the COVID situation is that they are using tremendous amounts of selection bias, which is an absolute no-no in statistics. If you did a research paper in my field, when I was at Syracuse University cranking out research papers, if they had any indication that I was cherry picking like that, using that level of selection bias, they would never publish a paper from me ever again, and they would definitely say that the work I did was absolutely positively fraudulent. That would be fraudulent, a fraudulent representation of the data to do that much selection bias. Let me give you other examples of how selection bias works and how the media is using the same tactic to give you the impression that everybody and their mama is dying from COVID. Right? And a lot of you feel that it's happening, it's real, because maybe you know somebody who died from, I know somebody, or you know somebody who knows somebody. That's another mathematical term called degrees of separation. If I count up all the people you know, and all the people that they know, and all the people that they know, then you're talking about millions of people. So if you're looking for the boogeyman, like if you're really thinking everybody's dying from COVID and you're looking for, your mind tends to lean toward information that confirms your pre-existing bias, right? So you're looking for evidence that what you're saying is true, that you're not going crazy. So you hear, oh man, my coworker's cousin just died from COVID. Well, you're like, damn, everybody dying from COVID, everybody dying. That's your coworker's cousin, right? You've got a lot of coworkers, and your coworkers have lots of cousins, and your coworkers have lots of friends. There are tons of people that you know who know other people, or you see your Facebook friend. Somebody who is a Facebook friend says, I have a relative who caught COVID or who died from it. You're like, oh my God, everybody's dying from COVID. First it was my coworker's cousin, now it's my Facebook friend's uncle, right? So here's what I want to make 100% clear. And this is only intelligent people are going to get this. That's why I truly, when I say to people, like, I really want you to like leave like the platform, like don't subscribe to my page if you can't have these conversations. I really mean that. Like I beg my Facebook friends to leave because I want people in there that really want to actually be there. I don't want the people who are going to just dismiss what I'm saying just because it doesn't fit their bias. I can't do that, right? So here's what I'm saying, right? With this selection bias thing, as a statistician, I see it everywhere. I see it all over the place. It's no different from a lawyer that goes to court who's defending a client, and they're never gonna present any evidence to tell you that their client might be guilty. Every piece of evidence they put in front of you is gonna be innocent, to the point where you would think that person was a choir boy. And then the prosecutor is only gonna cherry pick their evidence that says the person's guilty. He's a dog, he's a terrible person. Let me tell you what he did in the 3rd grade, right? So they're gonna make you think he's the devil. So you'll have one side saying the client is the angel, the other side saying the client is the devil. And then the judge has to sit in the middle and hear both sides of the case, right? I tend to think like a judge. So what I do is if you ever want to see something really funny, if you ever want to laugh your ass off, go read MSNBC.com and read what they're saying about COVID and Trump and everything else. And then go to Fox News and read what they're saying about the very same stories. It is absolutely fascinating how different their perspectives are and how each of them will cherry pick evidence that supports their point of view. Another example of selection bias. Here's a real life example of how selection bias can lead to biased thinking. Think about this. How many of you, raise your hand in the chat, give me a yes or no in the chat if you know a black boy who wants to become a football player or basketball player. If you've ever met a black child, a black boy who said, I'm gonna be in the NBA or the NFL. Right? Like literally that's like their plan A, their plan B, their plan C. Like they just know they're going to make it. How many of you, give me a yes or no, if you know a black boy or have seen a black boy who didn't care much about learning how to read because he was going to the NBA anyway. Didn't really care much about learning how to spell because he gonna be making money in the NFL, right? How many of you, right? Raise your hand. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of yeses because most of us know boys who think that way. Well, why would they think that way? Why would little boys think that way when all of us know that the odds of making it to the NBA are probably about 1 in 10,000, maybe 1 in 20,000, right? The odds of making it to the NBA, you don't want a lottery ticket like that. If you had to depend on, if those are the odds you needed to save your life, you would just assume that you're probably going to die, right? Like 1 in 10,000, 1 in 20,000, who would hinge their life on something that has a 1 in 20,000 chance of being successful? Well, why do they think, but if you ask these little boys, they're sure they're going to the NBA or NFL. Why do they think that way? Well, that's because of selection bias. They don't have access to all the data. They don't have access to all the information. When they turn on the TV, every single black man they're looking at is in the NBA or the NFL. They watch the NBA finals, they're seeing dozens of guys who are all in the NBA. So if the NBA has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of players, like if somebody says, of course you're going to make it to the NBA. The NBA has, how many players in the NBA? About 300. There are 300 guys in the NBA. Of course you can make it. There's plenty of room in the NBA. Everybody's going to the NBA. There's 300 people in the NBA. There's probably over 1,000 in the NFL. Why wouldn't you think you're going to make it to the NBA or the NFL, right? Well, the reason they think they're going to make it is because of selection bias. All they see are the men who made it. What they do not see are the tens of thousands of other men who did not make it, right? Like, so a reality check for a kid like that might be to watch one of these Netflix shows where they show you all the wannabes who are trying out for the team who don't make it, or all the guys at these JUCOs who, some little guy that's 5'9", but he can jump out of the gym, but he really thinks that he's going to be the next great 5'9" point guard in the NBA, right? Like when they watch shows like that, it brings things back to reality. So with COVID, here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's nothing wrong at all with talking about all the people who lost their lives from COVID. Those lives matter. All lives matter. Black lives matter. All black lives matter. Black lives matter all the time, right? Like, so when somebody dies, that should matter to everyone, in my opinion. My heart goes out to anybody who's lost somebody in any of this crisis. But what they need to do, here's what I'd like to see, right? Rather than just focusing on all the people who died, why don't we also talk about all the people who lived? I mean, I know that it benefits them to scare the shit out of people because they're trying to win an election. That's how they gain control over you, is they scare you. That's why they got black people voting for got black people feeling like Michelle Obama said today that voting for Biden was a matter of life or death. Now, I don't care who you vote for, but if you think that voting for Biden is a matter of life and death, then I don't know I don't know what to say to you. I feel sorry for you. You're depending on a very racist man to save your life. Like, this man in 47 years, tell me one thing. If you ask him, if anybody ever challenged you, ask him, say, tell me 5 things Biden did for the black community. Tell me 5 times he really stood up and fought for black people in the last 47 years. Tell me 5 times. 5 times. Give me 5 examples that Biden just went ham. Like, I'm going to defend black people no matter what. I got black people's back. They can put their life on the line for me because I'm going to make sure that Black Lives Matter. I'm going to make sure black people are good. Show me. They can't come up with an answer. All they know how to do is get mad, and then they'll call you a Trump supporter. There's probably somebody in the chat that's like, Dr. Boyce is a Trump supporter. He's getting paid by Trump. That's because that's all you got. That's all your dumb ass got. That's all you fucking got. And you're talking like a coon right now, because when you say that somebody's a Trump supporter because they don't vote for Biden, you're assuming that taking a vote away from Biden means that he owned the vote in the first place. Nobody should own your vote. Your vote is your vote until you decide who you're going to give it to. So if you vote for nobody, you're not voting for Trump. You're just voting for nobody. Right, seriously. So if somebody says, well, if you don't vote, that's a vote for Biden. So what? So, motherfucker, you assuming that Biden had my vote until I changed my mind? Maybe he never had my vote. Maybe I just don't like this son of a bitch because I can still remember all the tens of thousands of black people that he put in prison when he was running around calling us super predators and all this other shit. Like I said, maybe you need a self-esteem injection because you're up here really thinking that this man who's shown you clearly for 47 years that he don't give a shit about you is going to be your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I can't help you. I don't know what to say to you. You're caught in the matrix. You're caught up in all this Trump fear and this anger toward whatever Trump did. He's so rude. He's so disrespectful. Look at what he over there doing. I don't care what this man is doing. I do not care. I do not care. And to show you the hilarity of politics, a lot of these people that you see on TV that are really so anti-Trump, go back and Google what they were saying about Trump a decade ago. Go Google that. Go look up and see how many pictures there are of Al Sharpton hanging out with Donald Trump. Go look up on the record and see how many rappers put Donald Trump in their raps. I'm not saying Donald Trump's a great guy. I knew he was a bastard 30 years ago. I knew Trump wasn't shit back in the 90s. I thought Trump was a rich white man where I could read his book and learn a little thing or two about real estate because I was like Reginald Lewis. Remember Reginald Lewis, the great billionaire? I said, why should white guys have all the fun? So I went and read Trump's book, so The Art of the Deal, so I can learn the art of the deal so I can compete with a Trump. I never thought that a Donald Trump was going to save my life. Just like you should never think a Joe Biden is going to save your life. He's not. He's just not. But again, vote for who you want to. Just vote for who you want to. I'm just saying it's not going to make a difference. And I'm not saying it to be cynical. I'm saying it because it's true. I'm saying it because it's never. But I mean, seriously, when people talk about voting, like people are like, black people need to vote. Get your booty to the polls, y'all. Get your booty. Everybody get your booty to the polls, y'all. Which is very degrading, by the way. But whatever. I'll digress on that. I'm sitting there saying like, wow, they're really talking as if black people have never tried that before. Like you've never, like, what's your revolutionary solution to these 400-year-old problems that have been plaguing our community? I mean, you look at the black communities, many of them run by Democrats. The kids can't fucking read. Black wealth is going backward. Black babies are being shot up in the street. like all black people are going to prison. Ain't no daddies in the households no more. What's your solution to all these piercing problems that we're having as a people? Well, that's why we all need to show up and vote. if you don't get your stepping fetching ass out of my face right now, I can't take it. I can't. So what you're saying, again, you're talking like black people have never voted before. It'd be different if you were like, I got this revolutionary idea. I know y'all don't vote. Black voter participation is very, very low, but if we all vote, we can make a difference. I was like, black people vote the same at almost damn near the same level we go to church. Like, we are deeply committed to the religion of Democratic Party politics. Like that, there's no question about it. Nobody's going to really break that bond. And I'm not trying to break the bond. I'm just not. I'm just trying to say it ain't going to work because it's never worked. And I'm saying that if you want to solve the problem, you got to do something different. The dumbest way to try to solve an old problem is to come at an old problem with an old solution. The worst way to try to solve a problem that's plagued you for 50 years is to do the same thing you've been doing for the last 50 years. So what I'm trying to say to you is that, I don't really care what you do. I mean, I'll just say, I want to solve the problem. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of thinking that the next election is going to be the election that changes everything. That just doesn't fit the data, does not fit facts. It does not fit reality, right? We're going to vote. If Biden wins, the best advice I would give to black folks is Biden's probably going to, I believe Biden's going to win the election unless, now here's the thing. If Biden doesn't win, that's going to feed into the conspiracy that mainstream media has this weird Trump bias, which it makes sense because Trump came out swinging against the media. He came out really blasting all the major media outlets. So you can see, I mean, they're human. Of course, they're going to get pissed off and say, let's get this guy out of office, right? But what'll be fascinating to me is if he does come along and win, when all the mainstream media polls are saying he won't win, that tells me that those polls were bullshit from the beginning. The measuring stick of a poll's accuracy is whether or not you accurately predict the future. So if he comes in and wins, then that's going to say that everything you were feeding the public was a lie, that it was wrong. And so I personally think, based on the polls, I believe the polls. I don't believe Trump's going to win. I believe Biden's going to win. So my advice to black people is, the reason I love to talk about things like investing is because if you're an investor, you tend to win no matter who's in the White House. You tend to win no matter who's in the White House. Now, if you're waiting for these people to come save you, then you will be struggling. And what's going to happen is in the next election, the 2024 election, the same Negroes going to come around, trying to trick you into voting. They're going to, with the same triggers, the same, oh my God, it's life or death. It'll be a new villain, right? They always build a villain for you. They always create a villain for you. So in this case, it's Trump. Last time it was, last time it was Trump too. Before that, it was whoever, Obama was running against him. It wasn't Mitt Romney or whatever, right? But in every election, that's what they tend to do. They want to create a villain so that, because they know, again, they're smart. They have studies and polls where they understand your thinking. They know that it's easier to get you to vote against something than it is to get you to vote for something. So that's why when you listen to their arguments about the election, they can't really spend much time talking about the merits of Joe Biden because he doesn't have any merits. What they talk about is how horrible Donald Trump is. Now, and if you think he's horrible, that's fine to think he's horrible. But I think there should be a distinction between him being horrible because liberals don't like him versus him being horrible because he's done something terrible to black people. As a black man, I don't personally feel he said or done anything directly against me. I just don't feel that way. When they talk, for example, they talk about these white supremacist groups and everything else, and or the Proud Boys, right? And my thought is always like, okay, so how many tens of thousands of black people did the Proud Boys murder last month? Like, were the Proud Boys going through black neighborhoods and blowing up black businesses and exterminating people? Or was it actually, sorry, scratch that. It was Antifa and the liberals that were going through burning down buildings and busting windows and all that. But that's beside the point. Because because my whole thing is that I think that we don't know the difference between when somebody really does something to you versus when they tell you somebody is gonna possibly do something to you. Right? I'm really, again, I listen carefully. And if Trump were saying, for example, if he were saying what Biden said, remember in the early 90s, Biden was going around specifically pointing out children with single mothers. And you know who he's talking about when he says these urban kids with single mothers, right? And he was specifically, go listen, there's quotes on this. I put this on my Instagram. My Instagram is real Boyce Watkins. Biden specifically said, these I think he used the word urban a lot. I know he said super predators, and he talked about kids with single mothers, and he said there's 100,000 of them, and we need to take them out of society. So he specifically spoke about taking out 100,000 black people, right? And somebody says, Boyce, you've taken disappointment to the next level. Well, I say, fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Get your dumb ass off my page, because I'm not backing down when it comes to my people. So you can go vote for whoever your favorite white man is. Go do that. You go do that, and I hope that works out for you. But I'm not backing off of this shit, because it's stupid. That's why your community's losing. That's why you have cities, 19 of the most dangerous cities in America are Democratic-run cities that are majority black. You can't tell me I done gave you the keys to the goddamn car. I gave you the keys to the car. I gave you my vote, which was sacred. I gave you money, which is sacred. I gave you the minds of my children, which is even more sacred. And you have destroyed all of those things. You have destroyed my community. You have just let the schools go to shit. Kids can't even read. You got no fathers in the house. Got us hooked on this welfare dope where we can't even have daddies around. You got all these black men locked up in prison. You got black wealth going backwards, but you're going to talk all day about social activism and police brutality, but you can't talk about the 100,000 people that Joe Biden put in prison, but you're going to talk about one person who got shot by the cops. We're going to get justice for Joe Smith. Well, you know what? God bless Joe Smith and his family, but I'm not talking about Joe Smith. I'm talking about the 100,000 people Joe Biden was speaking about when he said we need to get these super predators off the street, because he was talking about people like me. He was talking about young black men like me. Do you know what it was like? Some of y'all don't even know what it's like to have been a young black man in the 1990s, where there is a government extermination system in place, a mass extermination system in place, where they have identified you as a super predator, and black men are dying left and right. My best friend, Greg Wilkins, in Louisville, Kentucky, blocks away from Breonna Taylor's house, got his brains blown out in front of his daughter. I still go see his daughter to this day, because she's like my daughter, because he was my best fucking friend. 2 days after I went to go see Greg, some punk ass dope dealers came in his house and shot him in the head. I don't even know exactly what happened, but I know I was traumatized from that. I saw my friends dropping like flies. And you think we're going to forget about that shit just because you got us all riled up over what you think Donald Trump might do? Or because you offended that he decided to leave the hospital and take his mask off? I don't give a fuck. And that's his problem. He's 74 years old and fat. If he feels comfortable taking off the mask, then God bless him, right? Like, I hope that you're making the right decision, because I just don't give a fuck. You know, it's entertainment to me. It's not enough to get me to go support somebody who strenuously fought for the mass extermination of 100,000 black people, which is the kind of talk that Hitler did when he talked about exterminating the Jews. The only time I've ever heard of any political leader saying there's 100,000 people and we got to take out 100,000 people is in times of war, or when there's a mass extermination genocidal plan in place, when they were stacking dead bodies in Nazi Germany to the ceiling because they were trying to find industrial strength methodologies to kill as many people as possible. That's what they did to black people. And you need to embrace this. You need to understand this. Some of y'all want to forgive and forget because that's what white Jesus told you to do. Like, some of y'all just really think, like, some of y'all can literally forgive anything. They can come in and murder your whole family, and you'll be like, well, he probably had a good reason to do it, so I'm still gonna go and give him my vote and buy his products because he said he was sorry, right? I'm not that person. I saw the activity as it was going down. This man, my God, this man literally gave speeches that you can go look up on the internet. If people were so thick-headed about it, if they really wanted truth and wanted to do research, you could go find this stuff on the internet. This stuff is out there right now. And if you read books like Powernomics and Black Labor, White Wealth, Dr. Claude Anderson predicts all this to a T. He wrote this book 25 years ago. He was explaining exactly why, despite evidence to the contrary, black people will still, a percentage of us will still show up and support the same white people who wanted to have us murdered just a couple of years before. And people know this about you. They study you. They study you. They're like, oh, well, God, black people, these are some forgiving people. they'll let us get away with anything. And so whatever they think they can get away with, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. And so I want to slow down because I don't want to make you feel bad if you're going to vote for a certain candidate. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm not telling you not to do it. I kid you not. I'm not going to tell you not to, because I don't want to do what they're doing. I don't want to suppress the black vote like they're doing. They're suppressing the black vote. I'm not going to suppress the black vote. I am not on any planet going to tell you or shame you. If you tell me you voted for Trump or Biden, I'm going to say, great. Now, what are we going to have for lunch today? I won't look at you. Now, mind, I'm not going to see your vote as some magical solution because I'm not dumb enough. I can't make myself dumb enough to think that things are going to work when they don't actually work. Right? We've been voting since forever. Nothing's gotten better. Kids in Baltimore still can't read. Kids in Chicago getting shot up like crazy. Right? Like it is what it is. Right? But I'm not going to get mad at you for your political choice. Now, on the flip side, they get mad at you when you make a choice that's best for you. So when brothers are coming out saying the things I'm saying, like, nah, man, I'm not voting for that motherfucker. He wanted to kill me. I'm not voting for a person. I'm not dumb enough to give power to somebody who wants to kill me, right? So it's their right to say that. It's their experience. You must acknowledge their sentiment. I know a lot of black men who are just sick of the shit. And black women too, but I'm talking about specifically about the black men. The black men I know a lot of black men who feel disrespected, dismissed, disregarded, ignored. You don't put us through this hellhole and now you think everything's better because you stopped doing what you were doing? Seriously? You were locking us up, giving us 100 years in prison for nothing? And now everything's supposed to be okay? Our kids, a lot of these guys, the kids hate them because they were locked up when they were babies. They went to prison, got beaten and raped. I got a phone call this week from somebody who told me about a relative that went to jail. And when he got to jail, he was 17 years old and he was about to go to college. And when they put him in grown man jail, the guys beat his ass to the point where his mother couldn't even recognize him, and they shoved his face down in the toilet. And now he talks with a stutter and he's completely traumatized because they beat him so bad and probably raped him. And they don't tell him what STDs he caught from being raped by a bunch of grown ass men. This is a young black man who had his whole life ahead of him, but he got into a situation, he goes to jail, he goes through this, and you act like we're supposed to just ignore this. Well, if you think black men are supposed to ignore the pain that we go through, well, first of all, I say, fuck you. That's the first response I have for you. Number two is you need to really think about that. Look in the mirror. Because when a white woman gets sneezed on, the whole world stops and holds its breath. The white woman says, oh, but he groped me in 1992. I ain't got no proof, but I want y'all to take him down because I've been traumatized ever since, because he asked me out on a date and told me that I look pretty in my dress, and I'm just so traumatized. And black men are going to prison getting gang raped, and y'all just like, well, y'all just need to get over it. Seriously. So I just have to tell you, I don't have the patience to talk to everybody. I'm not here for every black person. I'm just not. I'm here to talk to black people who have black sons that they love. I'm here to talk to black people who want to at least try to have some self-esteem or some common sense. I'm not here. I'm not here for the dumbass shit. I'm just not. This is a revolution. Right now, we're in a revolution. We're in a revolution against white supremacy, and we're in a revolution against white supremacy and blackface. You got two types of white supremacy. One is more dangerous than the other. You got white supremacy that's going to come from the white supremacists. That gives you one level of danger. The Joe Bidens, the Donald Trumps, the Bill Clintons, all the people that want to control you and manage you and steal from you. That's one form of white supremacy, from the NCAA stealing billions of dollars a year from black people to the prison system. That's one level of white supremacy. But your white boss who disrespected you on the job every day, that's level one white supremacy. The more dangerous form of white supremacy is white supremacy in blackface. And that white supremacy in blackface are all the black people who will do everything they can to get you to more deeply commit to your oppression. I'm talking about all the black people who are shaming black people because they're choosing to vote their conscience, who are shaming you for simply having the freedom to make your own decision, right? I'm talking about the black people who tell you that you're overreacting. Like you're mad because 10,000 black men are getting raped in prison every year, or 100,000 black men are being raped every year. It's probably a bigger number than that. And they're just telling you that it ain't no big deal. Joe Biden didn't mean it. He said he's sorry, so we should just move on, right? I'm talking about the black people who clap when you tell them you got a job, but then they don't say shit when you tell them you started your own business. When you say I'm walking away from the plantation because I want to be free, they ain't got no support for you. They talk shit about you, don't want to help you out, don't want to buy nothing from you. But when you tell them you got a job working for the white man, they go crazy and they cheer and they're happy for you, because at the end of the day, they don't know nothing about no freedom. They don't even want to know about freedom. They only want more comfortable version of slavery. They want integration. Integration in America is a more comfortable version of slavery. It basically says this. It says, we don't give up on us. It's the white man's way of saying, don't give up on us. We're kind of sorry, not too sorry, but we're kind of sorry. We're going to ease the pressure off a little bit. We're going to let a few of y'all in. We ain't going to let all y'all Negroes in because we ain't got room for all of y'all, right? If you go read Powernomics, Dr. Claude Anderson actually talks about how the liberals in the North conspired with the South to enact the black codes, because the liberals in the North said, look, we wanted to win the war and we destabilized slavery because we knew that was a power base for you. But we don't want those Negroes living in our neighborhoods. We don't want those Negroes taking our jobs. So when they would come to New York, they would lynch black people in New York. They black people going up north thinking, we safe now, y'all. We about to be integrated. Next thing you know, they showing up and they killing your ass. Right? So they worked with the South, where the South said, look, we still got a space for the Negroes. We won't make them slaves. We'll just create prisons like Joe Biden style prisons, and we're going to have black codes so we can find excuses to lock a black man up for anything, so that he's off the street, he won't be competing with you for a job, and he's going to help America because we're going to make him work for nothing. Right? That's documented. That is documented. And your so-called liberal allies look the other way. They're like, okay, that sounds good to us. As long as it's not our problem, as long as we ain't got the Negroes in our, taking our jobs, right? So black people ain't really got no friends like that. You ain't really got no friends. And so when they talk about integration, what I see based on the way America's structured right now is integration basically says, okay, we'll let a few of you in, not all of you in, but we'll let a few of you in. And as long as we get to dictate the terms of how you enter and what you do once you arrive, then you can stay. We will always make the rules. We will always drive the car. We will always own and control all the resources, but we're going to treat you better. So if you go watch, I encourage you, go study, go watch the big people that are really big on the integration stuff is the Democrats, right? Study the Joe Biden ads, and particularly the one he did for African Americans. And I want you to notice a couple of things. Notice that he doesn't talk much about the sharing of economic resources. There's definitely no mention of reparations, nothing involving giving, $100 billion to black businesses, none of that, right? It's all about, like, we're going to protect you. Just come in and we're going to protect you from police shootings, right? There's like 30 police shootings a year, maybe 40, 50. I don't know what the number is. It's less than 100. But they're going to protect you from police shootings because we've marketed police shootings to the level that we've got you believing that anybody can get shot by the cops at any moment. And that's just not true. Pay attention, there's one major police shooting about once every 2 to 3 weeks in a country of 330 million people, right? Now that's probably about 1/50th of the number of shootings that occur in Chicago in that same amount of time, right? So your death rate is not skyrocketing because of police shootings, but they tell you, we'll protect you from police shootings, right? Or, and the thing is that whole protection talk, that is what you might call paternalism. Paternalism says, I'm superior to you, and I'm going to be a friend to you. You come into my space, I will protect you. That's what the mafia does. The mafia doesn't, if you set up a business in a mafia district, they're not going to come in and threaten to kill you or beat you up or anything like that. They're going to come in and offer you protection. They're going to say, just play ball, do what we want you to do, just write a check to us, and we will protect you. So effectively, the Democrats, when they say we will protect you, that's their way of saying that we want, as long as you leave us in control, we'll protect you. We don't believe you can protect yourselves, right? We don't want to empower you. We need you to empower us so we can decide how much to empower you, right? So the other thing you pay attention to as well is notice how hard they fight for your right to vote. and they don't listen to you. They look at you like children. They don't listen to you. When you say, well, what do you really want? Black people, how can we really help you? They don't do that. If they respected you, that's what they do. They say, well, what would you like? And let's talk to your men as well, so your men can be in the conversation. What do you want? We'll give you some of what you want. They don't have those conversations. Am I right or am I right? They don't have those conversations. What they say is, here's what we're going to do for you. I'm going to make sure that you can show up and vote in every election so that you can keep me in power so I can come and protect you. Because I've got you in fear. I've reminded you repeatedly of how powerless you are. And so I've empowered you by repeatedly reminding you that you have no power without me. And I'm going to further empower you by giving you the power to hand your power over to me. And so what you have is you have a segment of Black people who've been reading books like Powernomics who are saying, no, thank you. We don't need you to, we don't need your protection. We would like your assistance so that we can empower ourselves. This is something that the white man has done all throughout the world. They do this all throughout Africa. There's a whole documentary called Poverty, Inc., where they explain in a very careful way how a lot of these charitable organizations that claim to be helping Africa are actually keeping Africa in poverty. They say, well, we want to go help the people in Ethiopia. And so what they do is they don't go truly empower the people in Ethiopia to get out of poverty. They're not going to teach them how to fish. They're not going to help them buy a pond. They're going to pay themselves to go fish and then deliver free fish to the people of Ethiopia. That's what they do, because they need to make sure that they are always part of the process. They always need to protect and preserve the middleman, right? So when it comes to freedom, I don't believe that freedom comes with a middleman. I believe that we can go directly to the source. I believe that we can have our own connect. So our own connect to freedom means, no, I don't need more jobs from you. I want to be a job creator. Because then at that point, I'm not just sort of allowing you to pick one token Negro that's going to get to come serve your company. I'm going to go build a company that's going to employ 10,000 Black people, right? So we're not helping one, we're helping 10,000, right? Or no, I don't need you to build better public schools where you're paying other white people to teach Black people because you think we're too stupid and too savage to train ourselves, where you got Black teachers that are better than you that can't even get a job because you insist on running the school. Think about this. How many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you have ever seen like a school that's full of Black kids and got nothing but white teachers? How many of you have ever seen that? How many of you have ever seen a school that's full of Black kids, got nothing but white teachers and white administrators, and then Black people can't even get a damn job at the damn Black school teaching the Black kids? How many of you have ever seen that? That's because they're keeping themselves paid. That's how they keep money in their pocket. They're like, no, we're going to pretend to be here for you, but first and foremost, we got to be here for ourselves, so we'll help you after we help ourselves. We're going to compensate ourselves for helping you because you're too stupid to help yourself. I don't speak in that language anymore. I don't ask them to make the public schools better. Fuck you and your public schools. Send your kids to those raggedy ass schools. Send your children to those schools where kids are coming out and can't read. Because I know 10,000, 100, I know thousands of Black people. If I did a shout out right now, if I said, look, I got the president of the United States, whoever he or she is, to write a check for $50 billion, and we're gonna build 1,000 Black schools across this country. How many of y'all want a job right now teaching Black kids? I would have an inbox full of emails from Black people who could teach the shit out of those kids, who would teach them, love them, mentor them, guide them, do whatever. We don't need your assistance. So I don't need the integration. I would prefer cooperation. I would prefer some sort of respect. I would prefer I don't need to move into your house. I can build a house. Seriously, you owe us $13 trillion. Well, when can we expect payment? When can we expect payment? If you want to break it down to simplicities in terms of what I ask for, at the end of the day, because here's the thing, politics is full of tricks. They call it politricks for a reason, right? So you got politricks everywhere, right? So rather than trying to figure out if what they're offering is good or bad, I would use very simple criteria. Simple criteria. Okay, you just offered me something in exchange for my vote. Can I take that to the bank and cash it? If I go to the bank and I say, I'd like to deposit this into my account, can I do that? If they say, well, we're going to make sure African Americans are respected all throughout the world, Can I take a big bowl of your respect and take that to the bank and put the respect in my bank account and then pay my utilities with the respect you just gave me? You know, when you tell me you painted Black Lives Matter on the street, how many black people were able to pay their mortgage or buy a home because you painted Black Lives Matter on the street? How much, you know, and like what's really tangible? Like what can I really touch that's really truly worth something? If you just stick to that criteria, then that solves about 90% of your problem. You know, this whole conversation about we're gonna make sure that you're treated properly and that you're protected, you know, from police will be held accountable and all this other stuff. I'm not saying those things are bad things, but I just want you to write me the fucking check. Just write a check, put it in my account, and then you can add respect and all that on that. But if you're not giving me resources, then you haven't given me anything. You haven't given me anything. Imagine if your boss said, you know, you done did 40 hours of work. You went to work every day, busted your ass, and you show up to get your paycheck, and your boss says, well, I don't have any money for you, but I do have a pat on the back. And I'm going to pat you on the back, and I'm going to also tell you that you're a good person. And you know what? After that, I'm going to let you hang out with me and watch TV with me. You get to hang out with me, and I'm not going to call you a nigga today. Because I that's how I'm going to pay you. That's going to be your compensation. That is pretty much what I see when they get into the whole, like, we want black people to be treated a certain way. I don't care. I don't really care how you treat me. I just don't. It doesn't matter, right? And when they get into, you know, talking about the whole Trump thing, I think the thing about Trump, the reason the Trump stuff doesn't bother me is because I still have yet to hear him say something about me as a black man that says he's trying to do harm to me. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen any executive orders where he's saying I want to go incarcerate 100,000 urban youth, right? I haven't heard anything like that. I heard that from Biden, but I didn't hear it from Trump. I haven't seen him say, you know, black people, we should just go and kill them all. I've just not seen that, right? I haven't seen that. So what people come to me with is they say, well, can you believe that he left the hospital and he took his mask off? That I don't care. That's his problem. Or can you believe that he wants to build a wall with Mexico? I don't care. I'm not Mexican. It doesn't I don't care. Maybe we need a wall. I don't know. You know, do I like Trump? I don't know enough about the man to like him or dislike him, and whether I like him or not shouldn't be the issue. I think that's a good question. Do you like Trump? Politics is not about who you like. It's about who does right by you. So if I had a choice, give me a yes or no. Which would you rather have? Which would you rather have? Well, not even a yes or no. Just give me a one-word answer, two-word answer. You have one person who likes you a lot, who says wonderful things about you and tells you how beautiful and how smart you are and how great you are, and they come to your house and they steal from you, right? But they're saying wonderful things while they do it. Then you got another person who says that you're a piece of shit, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're dumb, and you're fat, but they write you a check for $100,000. Which would you rather have? Would you rather have the person who gives you compliments, who steals from you, or the person who hates your guts, who thinks you ain't shit, who even, in fact, even says that they think black people ain't shit, but they write you a check for $100,000? Which would you prefer? Which would work better for your life plan in terms of you getting what you need for your family? Right? I would prefer the money. I'll take the check. I don't really, what you say about me really doesn't matter at all. And I think that as black people, this need to be liked, like this whole, like, I'm mad because I heard this person doesn't like black people. I think that's a little naive because I don't think any of those people like black people very much. I don't. And I think also, not only does it feed into the sinister nature of white supremacy, racism has been around long before you and I were, but also, how much do you need them to like you before you can like yourself? Like, do you need their permission? Like, and you think about this, we tend to act on the permission of white-owned media. white people. When white people give the clearance, we move full steam ahead. White people start talking about COVID and all this other stuff on CNN. Suddenly, COVID becomes the number one issue. Right? We ain't talking about all the diabetes, heart disease, strokes, gunshot wounds, and murdered black people. Fuck all that. We're gonna talk about COVID, even though that's literally probably number 8 on the list of things that kill black people the most. But we're gonna talk about COVID because white people are talking about COVID. What was the other one? Oh, and then you look at even things like Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a really fascinating exercise in the control of black people. It is an amazing thing because if you look at the history of the leftist movements, Marxism, communism, anarchists, they've all pretty much had issues with capitalism going back 200-300 years. Black Lives Matter is interesting because that is a leftist Marxist kind of entity that basically said, we're going to grab onto the struggle of black people and use black people as our pawns to achieve our goal of undermining and destroying capitalism, right? That's why, for example, on my Instagram, if you go to my Instagram page, The Real Boyce Watkins, you'll see I had a video from a black cop who basically said, I didn't understand that when I would try to talk to the brothers, a white lady would walk up and say, don't talk to him. You can't talk to him, right? And he said, see, he said it was like he could predict it. Like he told he was talking to a black lady. He said, oh, every time I try to talk to you guys, some white person comes up and says, we're not allowed to talk. And then right then a white lady walked up and said, why are you talking to him? You can't talk to him. He's a pig, right? And so a lot of times what you don't realize as black people is that in many cases, like with this all these protests, you're part of a bigger game. You're part of a bigger game that is a game between the right and the left. Right? It's between the right and the left. Like, even if you listen to the Proud Boys talk, I heard the Proud Boys talk. I was looking to see, like, what are these Proud Boys all about? What are they doing? They were kind of called out as the white supremacist organization and all that. I didn't hear one Proud Boy say anything negative about African Americans. I didn't see any actions. I haven't seen anything about a Proud Boy going out and murdering black people. None of that. All I heard them talk about was Antifa. All they talked about was the left. They talked about the people coming into neighborhoods and burning down buildings and throwing rocks and bricks through windows. I understood that. I was like, yeah, you come in my neighborhood throwing rocks and bricks through windows, I'm going to put a brick upside your head. I'm not going to let you come in my neighborhood, destroy my business, destroy my homeboy's business across the street. I'm not going to let you do that. I will meet you. I will greet you with an appropriate response, right? I understood all of that. But somehow, because we take our cues from white media, you listen to white people, you let them tell you what to think. We literally interpret that their dislike of leftists to mean that they don't like black people. And what I'm saying to you is, I don't give a fuck if you're conservative or liberal. I don't care if you're Biden or Trump. I'm saying stop letting these people tell you what to think. I'm simply explaining to you, I'm speaking to you in a language some of you may not understand, because I'm speaking the language of freedom. Freedom means that you can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want. So when a person from the left steps up and says, don't talk to this black cop, no matter, even if he's a black man, you can't talk to him, right? I hear that as, this Negro works for me. This Negro is part of my camp. This Negro is, he's one of us. You can't talk to our Negroes, right? So the white supremacy is on both sides of the fence. If you want to understand another example where this thing was done on a cosmic, really destructive scale, one day, if you get some time, go study the Vietnam War in extreme detail. I watched a long documentary. I could have sworn it was maybe 10 hours about the Vietnam War. I'm gonna go watch it again. The Vietnam War, because I was always fascinated by it, because my father was one of the 200,000 or 300,000 black men that they deliberately recruited to go fight their wars. Ali was the one saying, Big Kong never called me nigger. That was his way of almost like talking to Antifa, saying, that's y'all shit. That's y'all's fight. We ain't got nothing to do with it. But they always love to bring black people to fight their fights. And some of us sign up for it because we don't know what's going on, right? So the Vietnam War, just like today, right, just like the conservatives and the liberals are all trying to claim black people, like Joe Biden saying, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. And then on the right, they're saying, no, black people, African Americans love me, right? Trump is saying that, right? Where really African Americans are diverse. Some love Trump, some hate him. Some love Biden, some hate him. At the end of the day, we're all black. That's what we have in common, right? Well, the same thing happened in the Vietnam War. In the Vietnam War, I don't remember the name of the documentary. I wish I could find the name. If I find it, I'll mention it on Instagram. In the Vietnam War, it was a fascinating display of how white supremacy works all around the world. See, the white man, the tricks that they pull on you in America are not new. They have done this all over the planet. And they didn't invent it here. It started with the British, you know, in terms of what they did to divide light skin versus dark skin, what they did in India, what they did with the Hutus and the Tutsis and got them slaughtering each other. The same way the Hutus and Tutsis were slaughtering each other in Rwanda, they got Democrats and Republicans going at each other. Thank God we're not killing each other, but when you got families breaking apart, like, oh, you're a Trump supporter, I can't be your friend. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's been your uncle since you were a baby. He changed your damn diapers, and you're gonna dismiss somebody that changed your diapers over a man that don't even care about you? You are getting carried away. You are caught in the matrix, Negro. Step out. Stop that. Right? So these tricks have been used everywhere because it's basic divide and conquer. It's basic Willie Lynch. Right? Willie Lynch is Democrat Republican. That's all it is. So the Vietnam War was Willie Lynch that was used on the Vietnamese people. Ho Chi Minh was a great leader in Vietnam. Ho Chi Minh was a young man after World War I. And let me tell you what Ho Chi Minh tried to do. He was kind of the Malcolm X of the Vietnamese people, or the Farrakhan of the people. Everybody loved him. They saw him as a father figure. He was a great leader. He really wanted what was best for his people. So what he did was he saw when World War I broke out that was the Vietnamese opportunity to get away from French control. The French had been abusing the Vietnamese for over 100 years, mistreating them, just doing terrible things to them, because again, that's what white supremacy has done all around the world. So what Ho Chi Minh did was in World War I, he said, this is our chance. We can free our country from the French, you know, by kind of making a move in the middle of all the chaos. That's what I was telling y'all about COVID. When there's chaos, there are people who are afraid and who sit there and sit still, but then there are people who are making moves. Like during COVID, the Chinese were making moves. That's how they shut down Hong Kong. They couldn't control Hong Kong before COVID. After COVID started, they immediately went to shut down Hong Kong. They said, oh, there's chaos. That's an opportunity. So I encourage you. That's why I say this with investing and stuff like that. When you guys see chaos, don't get scared. Make your fucking moves. Be a power broker. Be a powerhouse in your own life. Stop letting people have you sit there in fear. Fear will get you nowhere. Fear will paralyze you. Fear will make you an observer of what great men and great women are doing, or it will make you a victim of what other people are doing to you, what the predators are going to do. So anyway, Ho Chi Minh was making moves. God bless him for that. So he goes to, I think the Geneva Summit or whatever they called it, after World War I, when all the white people get together and they sign treaties and shit. So they're all signing the treaty, and Ho Chi Minh appeals to the United States, and he says, look, we want to be free. Can you help Vietnam become free? We'd love to partner up with you so you can help us keep our freedom and protect us from the French. Well, Woodrow Wilson, being the racist that he was, he ignored it. He just, or actually the person that worked for him didn't even get the document to Woodrow Wilson. So they missed their opportunity. So what Ho Chi Minh did, which I think was a huge mistake, based on my limited knowledge of history, he made a mistake. He then went to the Soviets and said to the Soviets, hey, we want to be free. Can you help us be free? The Soviets were like, sure, you can be free as long as you're my bitch. Like, as long as you're communists like us and you do what we tell you to do. Like, they were kind of like what Antifa is for black people, or what the communists did that with black people too. That's why a lot of the, if you look at the rhetoric, if you really do a deep analysis of a lot of the civil rights movements and black power movements in the black community, one thing I consider to be a flaw is an overcommitment to Marxism. I think there are great ideas in Marxism, absolutely, but it's limited, just like capitalism is limited. I think we have to have blackism. I think we need to get away from like saying, okay, I'm a Marxist now, or I'm a capitalist now. No, you need to be motherfucking black. Blackism means that you have specific needs and specific solutions that fit your specific circumstances for your specific community, instead of trying to take what somebody else got going on for themselves and trying to fit that onto your situation. You cannot do that. So a lot of our movements have a Marxist orientation because Marxism's ultimate big goal, big picture goal, was to destabilize capitalism. They've had this battle going on forever all around the world. And that's what you saw with Antifa. The Black Lives Matter movement was connected to Marxism. That's why I've heard people use the term BLM stands for bigots love Marxism. I forgot who used that term, but I was like, yeah, it has some Marxist elements. When you saw Every police shooting, there will be random white people there dressed in riot gear, fully organized, fully mobilized, with full equipment, weaponized, and prepared to go systematically bust windows, systematically burn down buildings, or throwing bricks at the heads of police officers. Black people don't do that shit. We don't operate like that. Those were people that were already ready for the war before the war began. They were like, we're going to set some shit off. We're going to use black people as our excuse. And that's going to become ground zero in a global war that black folks don't know nothing about because y'all paying attention to Cardi B and Offset. Like, seriously, black people, we showed up to the party late. We like, well, we just want people to be nice to us. And they're already, they've been at war since forever. They are the white version of the Crips and the Bloods. They've been going what the Crips and Bloods used to be. No disrespect to Crips and Bloods, because even they have improved and evolved enormously in how they deal with each other, which made me very, very proud, by the way. So going back to Vietnam. So Ho Chi Minh wanted a free Vietnam. He made the mistake of aligning himself with the Soviets. What happens is that when you align yourself with a bigger partner, you sometimes are aligning yourself with a bigger battle. So you think you've got more protection when really you've been brought into a bigger war. So when they aligned themselves with the Soviets, that drew the attention of the Americans. So next thing you know, Vietnam, just like the black community, just like the Black Lives Matter movement, Vietnam becomes ground zero of a war between the capitalists and the communists. Now here's what goes down, right? Everybody is basically saying we own Vietnam. Vietnam is our bitch. The Americans are like, no, we represent the Vietnamese people. And the Soviets are like, no, if you don't support the Soviet Union, then you ain't Vietnamese, right? Just like Biden's like, well, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. And Trump's like, no, my African Americans love me, right? There's a bigger battle going on, and you are the perfect pawn. You are the perfect tool. So just like in Vietnam, so here's what happened in Vietnam. There's a parallel here. I want you to make the parallel. So in Vietnam, the capitalists and communists, they go head to head, bam. They're dropping bombs on each other, blowing each other up, destroying the entire country, dividing families, destroyed the entire Vietnamese country, destroyed communities, had cousins killing cousins, just tore that whole place to pieces. And then when it looked like when the United States could not hold its political will, when the American people were not supporting the war, the Americans just bailed on the Vietnamese. They just said, you know what? We know we promised you we'd be there for you. We know we told you we'd have your back, but we got to be out. So they just bailed out, and that's what led to what they call the Fall of Saigon. The Fall of Saigon was fucking terrible. The entire city got taken over by the Viet Cong. People were being shot in the head in front of their children. They were raping all the women. It was absolutely terrible, and the Americans did not give a fuck. They were like, well, we're just going to go off and do something else. And what I'm saying to you is the same thing happens in your community. You get caught up in whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. You get ride or die with your Democratic Party badge, or you get ride or die with your Republican Party badge. And then you get in there, you get to scrapping, because black people make the perfect soldiers. We be in there fighting, scrapping, ready to punch our uncle in the face because he voted for Biden, or because my Aunt Lucy voted for Trump. I can't stand that raggedy bitch, right? And then when they really need you, they bail on you. After the election's over, they get to go back to being white, and they abandon your community. Every promise they made to you before the battle began, those promises get broken. You still go back to declining wealth levels. You still go back to the majority of your children not being properly educated in public schools. You still go back to your daddies and your uncles are still locked up in prison. You still go back to joblessness, a lack of home ownership, no businesses in your community, right? You go right back to the same stuff that you were stuck with, because now they don't need you anymore. They don't need you anymore. So the reason I compared to Vietnam was I watched it, I said, okay, I get this now. This is what they're doing to black people right now. Now, because at the end of the war, the whole country was fucked up. They have bombed every damn thing. They dropped more bombs on Vietnam than all the countries dropped on every other country in all of World War II combined. And Vietnam is not a big country. So they literally destroyed that country and killed just so many people fighting their battle and did not care anything about those people. So I watched that and I said, okay, I get it now. I would not make the same mistake as Ho Chi Minh that I believe he made during the Vietnam War. I believe the mistake that Ho Chi Minh made in the Vietnam War was that he decided that he wanted to be as much of a communist as he was Vietnamese. I believe that what might have possibly, I can't second guess, I can't armchair quarterback this, but this is what I would try to aim for. And if I'm in a similar situation, is I would get together with all the Vietnamese, cousins, fathers, uncles, brothers, families, and I would say, look, whatever you decide to do, whether you're communist, capitalist, or whatever, let's be Vietnamese first. We protect our own first. Our unity must go first. We cannot pick someone else's battle over our battle. Those other battles must be secondary. Our battle to preserve this beautiful country of ours must become primary. So my belief, if you want to know my fundamental view on this election, when people say, who are you voting for, Democrat or Republican? I say, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to vote for black people. If I vote for a Democrat, that's my fake vote. That's not my real vote. If I vote for a Republican, that's my fake vote. That's not my real vote. My real vote is for the black community. My real vote comes down to what can I do as a black man to make sure that black children are better educated after I'm gone than they were when I arrived on this earth? What can I do as a black man to make sure that that our community wealth is going to go up and not go down? I have a PhD in finance. Maybe I have some things I can talk to you guys about that can help you in that journey, right? What can I do as a black man to make sure that at least we engage in some level of critical thinking so that when we make our own decision, we're making decisions based on truth. We're making decisions based on data and analysis, as opposed to making decisions based on irrational emotionality that's being used to manipulate us to get us to be somebody else's pawn. That's really the goal at the end of the day, because I think that sticking to that whole black first philosophy gives us something that we can rally around, so that when you get to talking about Trump and how much you love Trump, I'm going to hear you out. I might disagree with you, but at the end of the day, we're going to go back to being black. Because just like in Vietnam, the only people that took care of Vietnam, the people that rebuilt Vietnam after they went in their country and fucked it all up, the people that took care of Vietnam were the Vietnamese people, because they were the only ones who loved their country enough to do what was right by their country and by their people. So at the end of the day, when it comes to fixing problems in the black community, that will fall on you. That will absolutely, positively, 100% fall on you. And the only people you should really align yourself with in a significant way should be people who will help you in your quest to do what is best for you. So the reason I know I'm right, the reason I know that I'm not wrong on this, is because I'm simply giving you the best advice I can give you if I really love you, is to say, do what is best for you. To hell with Joe Biden, do what is best for you. To hell with Donald Trump, do what is best for you. To hell with Boyce Watkins, do what is best for you. If I say that, then I can walk away from this conversation knowing that this is not a biased conversation at all. The only bias I'm having is that I am biased toward you. And some Negroes don't like it because they're not used to putting black people first. We are the ultimate pawns. We are the ultimate soldiers. We are the ultimate servants. We are the ultimate white supremacists. We will serve other people before we serve ourselves. We will take care of that man's kids before we take care of our own. We'll make sure his community's safe before we worry about our own community. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I want black first. I want our community to win no matter who's in the White House. No matter who's in the White House. So I'm going to go. I'm done talking. Thank you guys for listening. It was fun talking to you. And by the way, if you want to get free stuff from the Black Business School, you can go to firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. Even if you've already bought your first share of stock, if you haven't, I can show you. There's a free training. It takes 10 minutes. I want you to invest because investors become wealthier on average. All studies show this. This is not debatable. People who invest in the stock market do better than people who don't. Make sure your children are invested so they can be safe economically, which is the best escape route from white supremacy. But also, if you sign up, you'll be on the list. We give away so much free stuff. You can literally get more from the stuff we give away for free than you got in 4 years of college, even after paying $150,000. That is absolutely positively true. I know this is true. I'm completely confident in this. So if you want to know why I yell and scream and I sound halfway crazy, it's because I'm very comfortable in my craziness. I truly believe that it takes this level of insanity It takes this level of passion. It takes this level of thinking outside the box. It takes this level of energy to fight against hundreds of years of Jim Crowism that we've been facing as a people. And I'm not going to go out like no sucker. I'm not going to go out knowing that I did not give my absolute best to tell you the truth. Just because I'm trying to fit in, or because I'm trying to get somebody to like me, or I don't want people making fun of me because I'm talking weird because my teeth just got fixed. I don't give a fuck about none of that. All I give a fuck about is us winning, and I believe we can win. So whatever you do in this world, go out there and win. Please do that. At that point, I'm cheering for you, and I want to see you succeed. So God bless you guys. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Please hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. And feel free to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is TheRealBoyce Watkins. Have a good day, guys. I'll see you soon. Be good. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down.